What's going on, everybody? Welcome back to, I mean, I don't want to call it an emergency live stream, but it is very much a, sorry, let me just make sure that I'm on dad duty tonight as well, so make sure I can hear my kids if they kick off. Yeah, we're going to get into it tonight. It's not good news, all right? Let's just call it as it is. It's not good news. As the thumbnail did depict, this is a moment in time, in my opinion. We either make a decision, it's now or never. That's what the thumbnail says. So if you haven't looked at it, then yeah, we're going to get into all of it. We're going to talk about what's going on. I think that's important. And probably for the first time, this feels a bit different to me. I know that we've sort of talked about a couple of these key indicators and a couple of these key things that we've been sort of saying, well, you know, that's kind of where I'm at. If we see that break, then, you know, that's kind of what we need to be paying attention to. Definitely this one feels a little bit different, right? Definitely feels a little bit this one. So, yeah, we're going to get into this one for sure and sort of walk and talk through how and what I think you should be doing, what I'm doing. And look, I'm just gonna right off the bat, before we go too deep into this, I have gone into stable coins on some of my positions, not all of them. I'll tell you a little bit more about that later. I did actually post it about 3 hours ago in the premium Discord that I have moved some position to stablecoin because it's broke some of the things I've been watching, some of those key fundamental technicals I've been watching. So I have moved some positions into stablecoins. I'm still in some positions, but I did go into stablecoin on a couple of trades where, do you know what? I'm just cool with taking a little bit and sitting there, and I'll let, you know, I can decide what I want to do with it. Do I want to go short on the market? I actually did open a short at 101,600 today, and that short's playing out pretty well. So I had $4,000 in margin. It was like 12x leverage, I think. So that is actually playing out pretty nicely, in fairness. It's kind of offsetting the portfolio falling to pieces. But I said I would be transparent with you guys. 3 hours ago, I did move some position to stablecoin. So I sold Aster, I sold Aethia, I sold a little bit of Solana, a little bit of Ethereum, because they were two of my bigger holdings. I have kept open some of the more speculative ones. So like, where I've got substantial losses, and you know, you're talking like 60% down. I have held them positions a little bit because I'm a bit like, well, they might come back a little bit. But yeah, Jay says the 4-year cycle is undefeated. Now, there are a couple of things we'll talk about, you know, whether that was a good move or a bad move. I'll give you my logic, right? I'll give you kind of my thought and theory around it. Am I super like bull market, everything's gone to zero? Like, no. Otherwise, I'd have moved 100% of my entire portfolio into stable coins. So I'm still very much in Ethereum, still very much in XRP, Solana. Like, I still have some pretty good positions, but the fringe ones that were sort of there or thereabouts, that had, you know, were ticking on the potential of being going into a loss, which I never think is great, by the way, selling a little loss, but they were sort of teetering on the edge of potentially going into it. I thought, do you know what? Close it down. Let's go into stablecoin. This feels different. I'm going to talk a little bit about why I think it's different, and more importantly, why I chose to do what I did. Self-fulfilling prophecy, the 4-year cycle. I mean, it certainly looks that way, doesn't it? So smash up the like button to a brand new all-time high. We're going to get into this stream because this one is important. TikTok, you guys probably want to see the chart for this as well. So, okay. Here we go on the weekly candles, which if you have been part of this live stream forever, I've been talking about this green line here, the 50-week moving average. Now, there was a couple of things that is worth referencing here, which was it's technically a weak indicator. Therefore, really, if you wanted to get a true sentiment of what that indicator is doing, you should probably wait for the week and understand the close. But there were some things that happened today that I didn't like. Sort of doubling down on a little bit of stuff yesterday, but then equally from a technical standpoint here on the chart, I also didn't like it. Now, There are a couple of opportunities that I think may present themselves, which I'll talk about in just a minute. But for me, this broke the key line that I've been talking about, and the key line that I was very much keeping an eye out for. And equally, the one that I was really kind of like, okay, if that breaks, I'm interested. Now, the point here is it did actually push down with relatively large volumes. This is a big move down. Now, there's loads of reasons why we're seeing move down. When you start to look at, say, something like the 12-hour chart is where it starts to really get not great, if I'm dead honest. So we touched a little bit on this yesterday. We touched on a little bit around this particular move in the market on the back of obviously not getting CPI, not getting jobs data. And we obviously then got that massive wick down with the market sentiment basically pushing down. Now, exactly the similar sort of thing happened today. So we got the Asian markets kind of open. People a bit like, okay, we feel a little bit more optimistic. Government shutdown, etc. All kind of happened. Everything was feeling pretty solid. And then obviously we've wicked down. What's worth noting here, by the way, is this isn't just like a 3% correction on Bitcoin, because the reality is we were up around 103. This is more like a 6% correction on Bitcoin, which then when you start to kind of, work through that. And then for me, the big one here was the big one for me was here. So I've been talking about this kind of key support level here on these three particular coins. The fact that we broke below this, and we broke it with volume. In fact, we actually broke it with more volume than we've had for pretty much most of the last kind of week or two. I've gone, yeah, and I wouldn't say I'm selling out entirely. I am de-risking my portfolio right now. The last thing you want to do, and I've said about this all the time, is round trip markets and is round trip naively kind of just holding coins into oblivion. So again, I'm not fully out, but I have taken some stablecoin positions, and I don't think it's a bad plan. Now, what does that give me? My view is I think we probably come and retest this 96,870. This is a historically solid support line that we have seen all the way back here in May, which is in essence is the kind of entire move that we've seen where we broke obviously a lot of these kind of new all-time highs. And equally, we sort of kept the confirmation on this weekly. So this is kind of where I think we could see Bitcoin push back down. And I'll talk a little bit about why I think this is going to continue to come back down. And the reality is, I'm not going to tell you guys what to do. I always said that I would only give you, I'm just going to go into now that I would only ever tell you what I was doing. And then you've got to make your decisions based on what you think and what your opinion is. The question you've got to ask yourself right now, okay, this is the important question. Do you believe the US is on the edge of a recession or not? And I know the big recession word gets thrown out a lot, but let me show you a couple of charts. Let's talk through a couple of things, which again is the sort of bit that's just teetered me over the edge a little bit and gone, okay, do you know what? If this goes, just my opinion, I think it goes big and it goes quick. And we'll talk about kind of what's changed. If you think about it, a week ago, we were a bit like, oh, let's kind of see, let's hopefully kind of get some more movement in the market. Let's be objective. Let's be sensible. And when you've got altcoins in the wider market dumping over 5%, what does that tell you? It tells you people are selling altcoins like crazy people. And generally when people sell altcoins, the reality is that is, in my opinion, an indication of people are super de-risking right now. And that could be the fact, this could be a bad decision on my part. I could end up just being like, man, I wish I hadn't. But again, that's why sometimes it's important to be sensible about your strategy, not be one clip in, one clip out, etc., etc., etc. Okay, so what indicators would make you bullish? Again, 2-bit. Good question. So let's walk through some of the key things that are on my mind right now that are kind of taking me to a place where I made the decision that I did. So let's talk about government shutdown. Okay, this guy is obviously super not very happy about life, but let's talk about government shutdown. 5 million airline passengers delayed, $619 billion added to the federal debt, federal statistical system permanently damaged. What the does that even mean? But we talked about this yesterday, no CPI data. And by the way, the consensus on CPI, by the way, is it was shit. And it was going to be 3.1, which would have been one of the worst CPI reads we've had in about 3 months. So CPI would have come in terribly, which would have obviously freaked markets out about as much as they are now, by the way, which, they've even removed it. So you can't even see what the consensus was, but the consensus was 3, forecast 3. The predictions were 3.1. So the reality is CPI was going to be bad news, I think, right? No jobs report. Why? I'll talk about that in just a minute as well, right? GC said, by moving to stable coins at a taxable event. Yes, however, that's why it's always good to have some losses in the market because you write off against the losses, don't you? Which is why you should track everything in an Excel spreadsheet. So, but yes, technically that was a taxable event. The good news is that it was on a lot of the coins that, let's say, we bought a little bit too pricey. All right, let's say we bought them a little bit too pricey. That's my view. So, October jobs inflation data may never be released. Think about that. 43 days of economic data currently delayed. 750,000 federal workers, which is going to take about 3 weeks for that TGA account to start offsetting or distributing some of that $1 trillion out back into those individuals. A new funding bill only keeps the government open until January the 30th. So as much as it was like, okay, this is kind of good news, I watched the second vote and the second debate for an hour late last night, right? I watched it all the way through, and here's one of the things that kind of went, I don't like the fact of this. I think it was Hakeem Jeffries or someone said, you know, you shouldn't support this bill. We shouldn't be supporting this bill, blah, 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 blah. But make the decision now because everyone's going to remember in January 2026. And you're like, okay, well, the same fucking thing's going to happen in January 2026 then. The exact same thing I think is going to happen in 2026. Okay, so this was kind of the first thing. You've got mass panic in the markets, fear and greed driving the US market. So you look at this, we opened up reasonably well, followed by then a massive capitulation, broad capitulation as well. You got to understand, this wasn't crypto specific. There's S&P 500 losing about 1.6%, the NASDAQ dumping as well by a substantial margin. And again, two things we've been talking about on this channel forever is watch what the money's doing. So the S&P down 1.5%, one of the biggest capitulations outside of Friday the 10th, where obviously the whole world shit its pants, that we've seen. NASDAQ down as well, which again is not good news, all right? So we definitely saw a little bit of a push down. What's interesting is you saw bonds and US treasuries all move to the upside. So you got 4.7% now on the 30-year government-backed bond yield, which is wild. 10-year treasury, you got 4.1%. So think about it. You've got increased risk in the DeFi and cryptocurrency market, or I can go and get 4.7% on a 30-year government-backed friggin' bond. Like, what? I de-risked at 118, so I'm ready to buy back in. Stardog knows what's up. The M2 is rocketing. I'm confused. Why the risk off? Marty, let's talk about it, all right? This is why it's important. Yeah, we'll talk about that as well, Florida. That's why I'm still fully in XRP, because I think that one's going to be good. And obviously our buying price was like 33 cents or something like that. So we're pretty sat pretty on those ones. So I've moved out some of the higher, more risk on positions that I was in versus some of the most, do I think Ethereum might push back down? 100% a bear market. Would I be pissed if Ethereum went back to say like $2,000? Maybe not. Do I think Ethereum longer term is probably going to go to at least 10, 12, 15, 20,000? Probably. Like, might just take a couple more years, but you sort of know what you hold, don't you, with Ethereum, Bitcoin, probably XRP, Solana to a degree. So the S&P dumping US treasuries on the upside, which is kind of good news. Fear and greed index, by the way, is at 15. Think about that. 15. This is one of the lowest levels in history. So again, this is broad cryptocurrency market stuff. You're like, okay, fine. The market's completely like losing its mind right now. Everyone is totally panicking. The US government shutdown was meant to be a good news event, and it kind of isn't, right? It kind of isn't. So this is kind of where I'm at a little bit with this. Okay, so fear and greed is now at 15, significantly beneath where it is. Now, you have to dial yourself back a little bit for one of the other big key things that people aren't talking about, and they should be talking about. Remember, this isn't just, in my opinion, about what you see and hear. This is about really getting under the skin of what could come. Remember, we talked about this yesterday. Decisions on rate cuts need to be important based on where the market's going versus on where the market is. And I think the Fed's absolutely still in where the market is versus where I think the market's going to go. Cast your mind back to when Jerome Powell last spoke, and he talked about the fact that they were cutting interest rates. They were still a little bit uneasy about it. If you're selling now, you should have de-risked at local tops through the year. Agreed. What? No. I think I don't know if you missed the start of the stream. All I've done is taken where I am close or nearly on break even with some of the higher risk strategies. I've moved them into stablecoin. And then I have, as I always have talked about, take profits on the way up. Like, that's insane to just be like, one clip it, full in. I'm going to sell at $300,000 on Bitcoin. And then you're like, oh shit, my portfolio's down. No. Take profits on the way up, allows you to position. But right now, I believe the market's on the edge. And I think if the market rolls over, you're going to see us push down pretty aggressively. So, you know, yes, you should always sell on the way up. That's the sensible thing to do. Take profits on the way up. And then you absolutely start to kind of just make a decision based on what you've got. That's my view. Should have sold them in May 2025 then rather than bottling it at the bottom. Go back. Oh, you can't. You're on TikTok, aren't you? Okay, I'm not entertaining it because I can't be bothered because you're talking about one thing and I'm talking about a completely different thing. People moan about XRP going down as ETF went live. Canary. Yeah, I mean, look, Bitcoin ETFs went down for 2 weeks. But back onto the Jerome Powell situation. If you remember the last time Jerome Powell talked, he said exactly these words. What do you do if you are driving in the fog? You slow down. Basically, what that point was, if we can't see where we're going, we don't see where the markets are positioning, or more importantly, the jobs market or inflation data we're not convinced about, then they may hold on cutting rates. So this was like, oh shit, like, you know, we've gone from 100% rate cuts. It's going to be great. We're going to see QE come in December. Everything's going to start pumping to oblivion to they might not cut in December, right? They might not cut in December. And again, if you want any kind of visual on that, we're now at 51%. Bear in mind, this was 93.6% about 4 weeks ago, 3 weeks ago, something like that, post the previous meeting. So we're at 51.9%. So right now, it's a 50-50 dice toss whether the Fed cut rates. Think about it. Trump announcing, or the White House announcing today they are going to release jobs data, but they're not going to release unemployment data. Like what? Like what? Which is kind of insane. I put all my capital into gold and I'm up 5.63%. There you go, baby. That's what the play is. If it's bad CPI, would you? If it's bad CPI, would you? They not cut rates? Potentially. Because bear in mind, rate cuts are. The hell is this? Rate cuts are for the labor market. Vlad, thank you for the heart maze, versus anything else. Okay, they're to support the labor market. So this is down 16% from yesterday. Okay, so this is kind of another big thing for me, that Jerome Powell may literally pull the rug on December rate cuts. Okay, which is bad news, right? That's bad news. However you want to look at it, it's bad news. Again, they're managing the moment versus managing where the markets are going to go. So that's kind of that. Then your audio on TikTok gone funny. Has it really? Has it really? Is it back? Is it back, or is it still weird? It's changed. Hold on a minute. Sounded echoey. That's better. Is that better? Is that better? Has that fixed anything? Sounds the same. Fine. We can still hear you fine. Okay, fine. Maybe it's you guys with your TikToks. So yeah, so this was kind of the thing on that Jerome Powell came through. Now, let's look at a bit of data, which I think is going to be important in terms of kind of, it's not awful, but sounds like you're in a bigger room. Hold on a second, TikTok. Let me just unplug this. Unplug that back in. Right, is that should have hopefully fixed it up. Okay, so let's take a look at a bit of data. I thought this was pretty interesting data. How easy would it be for you to pay an unexpected $1,000 expense? And this kind of breaks down from a survey on in the US in October 2025, which is kind of telling us where they are. So 50% of working and middle-class US citizens find hard or even impossible to pay an unexpected $1,000 expense. Forget the fact that it's $1,000 expense, right? This is more about, are they going to be in a position to buy the markets? Remember, cryptocurrency, Bitcoin, everything else is driven on liquidity. It's not driven on anything else. People buy, people sell. Price goes up if people buy, price goes down if people sell. All right, pretty straightforward. So for retailers to go back to high risk on, loads of stuff's going to change. Why? If people are risking or are in a place, and look, I'm sure for many people in this live stream that this could be similar, and equally I'm sure for some, this won't even be a thing. But if people are in a world where $1,000 or £1,000 unexpected bill, you're like, holy shit, how am I going to pay for that? They are never going to go and buy a dog coin. They're never going to go buy a pissing frog coin. They're never going to go and buy Solana and stake it for that 7.2% sweet baby staking, are they? Again, worth noting on here. By the way, don't forget, smash up the like button to all times highs. Also, tap the screen here on TikTok for me as well. This is an important stream that I think a lot of people need to hear. So I thought this was interesting. Now, the other thing to think about, US employment rate is set to rise even further. And actually right now, even just now, the US employment rate is way above the 2008 financial crisis number. Now, lots of things are different. Markets are way more expensive, yada, yada, yada. But small businesses, 62.3 million people, 45.9% of all private sector are the ones that are going to get crushed with rapidly increasing inflation. Remember, we talked about true-flation yesterday. So employment rate is on the up, right? And what happens generally in max fear? People take advantage of it, yeah? You've also got, this is kind of a great chart to understand where you are. The divergence between Wall Street and the Main Street is staggering. So the fact here is that you've got consumer sentiment is like literally through the floor right now. And the S&P 500 is rallying. Now, the S&P 500 rallying is the only reason it's moving is because of the Magnificent Seven, right? We've talked about this a number of times. You don't need me to go back through it all. But Tesla absolutely dumped its arsehole out today. I don't know if you saw, Tesla was down 6%. So you got Tesla down, MicroStrategy down 7%, which is obviously pretty substantial. You got Coinbase down 6%. So definitely some capitulation pretty aggressively here in the markets, which a lot of people are, kind of not there. So you end up then sort of going into this world of saying, well, maybe the market's in a bubble. Like maybe this AI bubble is a thing. And the minute then the markets cool down and people can't spend any money, like the AI bubble's going to go, and all of a sudden then you're in a whole world of pain, right? You're in a whole world of pain. So again, one of the other big sentiments that's changed recently and literally has changed in the last 3 days, long-term holders are now selling at the fastest pace in 2025. So we've always talked about long-term holders sort of holding positions, right? Or, having a pretty firm hold on the markets. Well, they absolutely have started dumping their bags into broader market sentiment over the last couple of days. Think about it. Everyone's like, oh, government shutdown ending. This is going to be great news. Like, let's all buy. Big whales are going, yep, we're going to dump into that, which is, again, pretty interesting. And another metric that's changed that I think we should absolutely pay attention to. So, again, another one that's kind of gone the other way. And then this I thought was an interesting one, the Bull Score Index, which is essentially telling us kind of bull or bear markets. That's what reality is. And right now on this indicator, and you can't take everything as like gospel, but the fact of the matter is, how does it work and how does it calculate? It's based on spot demand, stablecoin liquidity growth, which again, if you remember, we've talked about a lot on this channel that stablecoins would be the big thing that drove this market. The react is that, well, stablecoin market is down and people are not buying as much stablecoin. People are going into stablecoin, but not necessarily buying stablecoin. So again, that is something you need to be aware of. How annoying is the X chat that you have to put your password in now? What the hell is that about? So again, worth noting that, which is again another reason to be a little bit cautious about where we are in the markets, okay? And whatever you have all of this, right? And this is where, Jenny, thank you so much for the little heart kisses. Love that. Thank you so much. This is where it gets bizarre in the market, right? This is where you get, or this is where the Clarity Act is desperate to be signed off, desperate to get involved. Why? Because whenever you get max fear in the market, this happens. You get massive capitulation from, again, liquidity exchanges. You get massive capitulation from exchanges like Binance. They absolutely ruined the market. They dumped the market and haven't stopped, by the way. We can actually bring it up if you wanted to have a look at the market maker wallet and the Binance hot wallet. They have been absolutely dumping Bitcoin and other altcoins. So max fear in the market, the exchanges pounce. And we can see that when it comes to liquidity measures. We can see that when it comes to kind of all the kind of stuff that's been playing out over the course of the last, few hours. You can see here, look, a massive day again on liquidations, over $700 million gone, right? $700 million, 578 long. And again, when you look at this in terms of where it's gone and you look at exchanges, you can see another chunk of change going into Binance. And the harsh reality of this is eventually people just go, okay, I'm not trading these markets. And actually prices on Bitcoin and prices on strategic assets such as, Ethereum and all the rest of it are driven basically on sentiment. The reality is eventually people are going to go, man, I am sick of going long on this market. I'm sick of trying to push them, and they're just not going to do it. And the minute that dries up, that's when one of two things is going to happen. You'll either see the market roll over and we end up going into a bear market, or you see the market pump. That is sort of where we are. That's why it's now or never on the thumbnail. So given all of that news, right? Given all where we are, we're sort of holding up 90. Let's do the 4-hour chart here. So we are holding right now 98,592. Okay, we're sort of there or thereabouts. We're down at 98K. We have broke more or less below, depending on which measure you take it from, the 50-week moving average at the moment. Yes, I'm aware it closes on a Sunday. That's fine. So is there any good news? Is there any good news? 2-bit, why have you only sold on certain assets and you still hold a substantial amount of your portfolio in particular altcoins? Why have you not gone into 100% stablecoin? Well, every cloud has a silver lining, which I'm sure you all are aware of. And every single moment in the markets where max fear is here, sometimes, and it is sometimes, the markets can show a sign of optimism. And we could start to maybe see a push to the upside. In 2013, Bitcoin deviated almost 40% from the power law indicator, which is what you can see here on the screen, before tanking, then going parabolic to the peak just months later. 2019, the exact same thing happened with a fake pump up to 30% before crashing, and then went on to drive a new all-time high. Well, where are we right now? The power law indicator is actually pretty low, and we scratched 50%. So we made it to 50%. So does that mean that we've got more upside to come? Could it be that we're actually playing out once again into the 2026 bull market cycle where everything goes fucking insane next year? Maybe. What else do we need to look at? Because we can't just base it on the power law indicator. There must be other things that are going to tell us that we've got some good or bad news. Well, this is one of them. And I think I actually have some breaking news as well that's just been sent to me, which we'll bring up in one freaking second, which also is pretty bullish. But the Canary Capital XRP ETF opened with 26 million in volume within the first 30 minutes of trading, over 36 million within the first 3 hours. The fund is about 10 million shy from breaking the $57 million BITUNIX on launch day record, okay? Which again is pretty interesting indeed. So this is good news, right? This is good news. Breaking news. We also have a further batch of S1 amendments rolling out for spot XRP ETFs. Bitwise, Frankel Templeton, 21 Shares, Wisdom Tree, Grayscale, and Canary Capital all now have their ticker symbols, which, assuming this, we could even see further XRP ETFs coming either maybe later on tomorrow, but more likely into early next week. So what you have here is institutional adoption to particular ETFs and everything else, which again is good news. All right, these people are going to get into the market. All right, great, happy days. The other thing to note, by the way, is that you had some speeches from Federal Reserve board members, which kind of had a bearish feel, but at the same time, sort of, when you sort of just cut through a little bit of noise, actually might, potentially go the other way. Federal Reserve board member Beth M. Hammock stated that the dollar's weakening this year is not a concern, emphasized the need to avoid easing monetary policy. Okay. Dollar weakening is generally good news for the cryptocurrency markets. However, avoid easing monetary policy, which is rate cuts, not good. So they're saying that look, we shouldn't be cutting rates. Again, this is not great news. So total was barely edging out. So it did break it, 58 million. Holy crap! Nice. You also had Alberto Musalem stating that monetary policy is currently closer to neutral, adding that there is no room for large-scale easing, recalling the US inflation is still hovering around 3%. So you've got two Fed members there saying, we should stick with monetary policy as is. Don't cut rates because we don't need to. Not great. The advocate for supporting the labor market stating that the Fed faces the need for a balanced approach. So again, this isn't good news, right? This is not good news at all. It's kind of okay for the crypto market-ish, but not overall that good, okay? So we do need to sort of, I guess, hedge our bet. Just bear me 1 second. Because I think my missus is here. Just 1 second. Right, we're back. I think. Well, I've just seen a taxi receipt come through. So anyway, right. So what I was saying. Shut the door. What I was saying then is, clearly these are concerns. And again, you got to understand that the Fed is going to vote on what they think they should do with interest rate cuts. So we know now you've got two people that are going to advocate for not cutting. Again, not an ideal situation to be in. So headlines, no major impact on Trump tariffs. Now, this is a kind of slightly more optimistic view, is that Moody's, which basically grade countries and kind of grade companies and all that kind of stuff, are saying that, look, tariffs are a one-time inflationary measure. Debatable whether that's true or not, by the way. But they also measure that India is the fastest growing major economy. Well, good news about India is they're super bullish on Bitcoin, okay? Which is kind of cool. So you're like, okay, India feels good in the G20. But again, ratings agency Moody predicting that the US tariffs generally aren't that big a deal. All right, fine. Okay, that's good news. How much is that? Rachel Reeves, by the way, totally going to screw us all. If you're in the UK, just FYI, look out for that next week. She is literally going to make life hard. The assumption, by the way, I don't know if you saw this data, the assumption or the expected growth for GDP is 0.1. Like, are you winding me up right now? The US are like 4% GDP. Yeah, 3.8, pretty good. We're like, oh, we're doing such a great job in the UK. We're going to have 0.1% growth on GDP. Well done, Rachel Reeves, you massive chopper. Complete joke. And then, like we said, first XRP ETF going live on the NASDAQ is pretty good. Look out, because I think there's going to be a ton more listing over the course of the next couple of days. So, given all of that, where do we sit right now? My personal opinion, thank you so much for the heart maze. You guys are crushing it. Thank you so much. We're pushing us up in this league thing as well. So, massive thanks to you guys for supporting the stream. I really appreciate it. And yeah, all that kind of does absolutely help us out getting into the next league, whatever that is. But let's talk about where we are right now. My personal opinion is de-risking is not a bad decision. You guys do what you want. It's your money, right? I'm not here to tell you what to do. I'm not here to do. All I'm here to do is tell you should absolutely hit the thumbs up, because there's only 25 of you done it, which is pretty poor. But again, de-risking on potential high-risk plays, I don't think is a bad thing. So if you're 90% in meme coins right now, you might want to think about, is that the best positions to be in? If you're in, top 10 kind of blue chips, yeah, you probably got a little bit more time. Not a lot, though. And again, as always, Tomato P, it is not financial advice on this channel. This is just my opinion. Like I said, it's your money. You have to make the decision that you think is right. All I will ever tell you guys is what I am doing. So again, TJ evening, mate, hope you're, yeah, I'm okay, buddy. Yeah, thank you for coming in. I mean, you could say, well, I'm going to wait and see what happens tomorrow. I want to see kind of anything that's going to come in. The problem you've got now is, which again, I think is where the markets have got a little bit uncomfortable, is that you would almost get in a world of saying, how much data can they then scrap based on the government shutdown? So, for example, we've got PPI data supposed to be coming out tomorrow. Consensus, by the way, 0.3, previous negative 0.1, and forecast 0.5. Well, 0.5 would be a fucking disaster. So, are they going to pull the rug on PPI? I mean, maybe, I don't know. It'd be pretty wild if they did. It'd be pretty wild if they did. Core PPI year over year expected to be flat at 2.8%. Yeah, that'll be okay. So, I think markets are a little bit like, man, what if they pull PPI? Like, holy crap now. That could be a bad news story as well. So I think, you've got a little bit of uncertainty in the markets. We don't have a lot then that's going to sort of come through really and give us this kind of, give us a positive outlook of what's coming. We get Fed minutes 19th, which is next week, which may give us some indication of maybe where the Fed then is going to position themselves for December. But my opinion right now, based on all of the stuff I'm seeing, I will have to change my stance and say that I don't believe the Fed will cut in December, which is bad news. Is bad news. again, think about it. You got the rallying stock market, which I know is at a capitulation today and down about 6%, but you've got really, well, you in theory, you've got bad jobs data, but you haven't got bad jobs data because they can't see it. If it's foggy, you slow down. And I think that's where the Fed will just go, yeah, we'll just pause. We'll pause in December, and they'll cite government shutdown. They'll cite the fact that they can't see it. And what they'll do is, I think they'll leave the door open then to potentially then do a cut in January. In fact, let's take a quick look at what January's predictions look like right now. So you are 50%, so similar with a 20%, potentially 50 basis points. I mean, that could be wild, actually. You get a flat no cut in December and then follow it up with a 50 when you get jobs data for November and December. Yeah. Yeah, you should get November's data, I think. I've gone from 120k to 3k, so painful. What the hell do you mean? What do you mean you've gone from 120? How? How do you go from 120k to 3k? What's going on, Moon Crew? Dump so it can pump, people. So yeah, I mean the January definitely could be a thing, by the way, which would be pretty wild if you ask me. It's good on Fairground. So you're gonna have to see how this plays out. But this is why I'm in a world of like, look, there's nothing wrong with de-risking. I'm not saying you should sell everything in your bags. I'm not saying you should go all out and go fully 100% into stablecoin. But like I said, in my opinion, there's no dramas in de-risking. Now, again, you've got to try and time the de-risk and say, well, you know, where am I at in terms of some of the coins? I mean, the market, particularly the altcoin market, is terrible. So this, for example, Aethia, this is one of the ones I got out today. And I think I got out up here somewhere, like I think it was like 2.6 or something. Oh, no, 2.36, something like that. So up here somewhere. Good idea. You know, it's continued to come down. These riskier players are potentially where you're going to sort of lose it. You know, will there be financial? Have I sold that? No, because I think that's probably one of those that may get, you know, rally if the markets come in. And God knows what could happen about that. If Trump's like, oh, I've lost like $5 billion today, might want to tweet about something good to do with the crypto market. You know, will there be financial? Heading to the NASDAQ stock exchange. Woo. Which, you know, could be pretty interesting instead. But yeah, Wall Street says stay strong. Yeah, that could be a thing. Short until you're long. That's de-risking. I mean, that's also true. That's all true. I'm in a short. Well, I got a short at 101,600. So yeah, it's kind of playing all right at the minute. Government reopens, XRP ETF launch, banks adopting crypto usage, all bullish news. So we crash. Got it. Makes perfect sense. Yeah, that's the thing, baby. That's the hardest pill to swallow, is that actually there's lots of catalysts that tell us the market should be good news. Ask yourself why the markets aren't good news, and that's the reality, isn't it? So although we have all this bullish catalyst, the reality is that lots of people are a bit like, yeah, I'm not feeling this. I am de-risking, and I think that's exactly what we're seeing. Man, what is this? I think that's what we're seeing, and I think Shane's in the building. What's going on, Shane? Good to see you, man. I think that's why people are in. And obviously, you've got the Trump administration going, yeah, we're not going to publish this data. Tells you that the data were crap. That's the honest answer in it. It tells you the data were rubbish. So they've gone, yep, we're not going to publish that. I mean, think about it. Ethereum's down 7.5%. Again, this is not normal selling, by the way. That is not normal selling. Like, I mean, this is the problem of institutional selling as well, by the way, is that they just they don't care. They don't care that Ethereum's meant to go to the moon. They're just going to dump everything. They throw the data at the wall like spaghetti, see what sticks. I mean, that's true. XRP always dumps to good and bad news. I mean, I did see something today and it said something like government shuts down, dump, government opens, dump, Fed cuts rates, dump, Fed doesn't cut rates, dump. It was just like all this list of things. It's just like dump, 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 dump. It's been a hard market, this one. It's been a hard market. And again, I'm not telling everybody to go into stablecoin, but my view, and I was like this in 2021, I did not go into stablecoin quick enough, and I ended up, you know, I just ended up not being in a good place. So that's why today, given what I've seen, given the decisions that I think have been made, I'm like, do you know what? I'm just going to protect a little bit of capital. That if it all just went to zero tomorrow, I wouldn't be disappointed with where I'm at this bull market cycle. And I don't necessarily think that's a bad idea. Again, you got to do what you got to do. It's your money to make a decision on the back of it. But yeah, here it is. Government shutdown, dump. Government reopens, dump. Rate cuts, dump. No rate cuts, dump. ETF buying, dump. ETF selling, dump. Gold pumping, dump. US stocks pumping, dump. US stocks dumping, dump. The worst bull market ever. I mean, maybe that's true. Maybe that's true. But yeah, let's see. Let's see. BTC has overtaken the market cap of aluminum. Hey, great. I'm shorting Sui, ready for a long for the 50x on a 9x levy. Fair play. Stocks are better than crypto. I well messed up holding the majority. I mean that's kind of true. What price would you think is a good value on ETH to buy for, say, the next cycle? Man, well, I mean, who knows? As much as you kind of say, well, where do you think it? Oh my god, where do you think it goes to? Where do we possibly think Ethereum could push down? That's the big question, isn't it? Right now, that is the big question right now. So 2021 market, let's take a look at it. That went from 484 to the bear market bottom was 81% decline. I guess you'd argue and say, well, ETH never even, well, it just broke an all-time high, just 84%. Could we see ETH back under $1,000? Probably. And as much as people might say, well, you know, I don't think institutions allow it to dump that hard. Like, you're winding me up right now. Like, they are literally relentlessly selling when they want to do. So, you know, I mean, ETH probably just plays out similar to what it did before. You're probably talking $1,000 maybe. But at the same time, institutions may just keep buying, so you might not get there if that makes sense. If that makes sense. Welcome in, everybody, by the way. If you are joining us, Christmas jobs will make it look good for short term. Yeah, maybe non-farm payrolls may be the big thing to look at. Do me a quick favor, by the way, if you're enjoying the content or you're new here, give us a little thumbs up. Likewise, over 100 people on the stream on YouTube, 36 likes. Come on, guys. It literally costs you nothing. Bottom of the screen, give us a thumbs up, supports the channel, gets the old algorithm looking out there. Likewise, well, on TikTok, we appreciate you guys being here. So don't forget, tap a little screen arena. If you want to check a couple of daily heart me's in, we'd appreciate it as well. That sorts us in this like weird league thing that we're trying to push ourselves up. So feel free, don't have to. Again, we appreciate you spending some time here talking all about the crypto market. So yeah, ETH was 1,200 a few months ago. It'll go way lower than that in a bear market. Do you think? I mean, the previous bear market, that's where it went to. So it went to like 830. And that was with FTX collapsing. Do you see some exchanges collapsing? Maybe not. Maybe not this time, but you never know. You never know. Market's down because the digital ID update Apple has done, in my opinion. Really? Nah, the market's down because Trump isn't going to release data. He's basically gone, yep, data's crap, I'm not going to release it. Like, think about it. Government opens. And again, think about the move here, by the way. This is an important thing. The move, we were at 104, feeling pretty bullish. So the number is actually nearer 5.5%, not 3% that I think you can see here. Tariffs and dumps should be words deleted from the English dictionary. I mean, that's also true as well. Just hold up, panic, Fairground, what's going on? So yeah. Anyone here trade on prop firms? No. No. Wasn't there a dinner last night with financial leaders? Yeah, allegedly there was, yeah. Allegedly there was. I don't know what came out of it, but yeah, lots of big bank people, hedge funds. I saw some rumors that there was a couple of hedge funds that were like on the way out as well, which I haven't seen, but yeah, that was obviously a bit of a panic as well. And when you're starting to get into that place, that's where people are going to start to really panic, because they're going to be like, right, well, we're getting recession-like data in a market that we think is overvalued. Like, it might end up going wrong. It might end up going wrong. Might not as well, by the way. You know, we might absolutely pump to oblivion and everything might be fine, and there might be some sort of stimulus, like the $2,000 checks all come in and everything goes to the freaking moon. Fine and cool. Like, let's hope so. Let's hope so. Not missing on fungible. What's going on, bro? What is going on? Missing on fungible. What do you think of the market right now? What's your view? What is your view? Peter Schiff says crypto speculators are throwing in the towel as assets rotate back into gold and silver. The other debate right now is, you know what they always say? The fact of the matter is, when the market is the most fearful and when the market feels like that it's all done and it's ended, that is sometimes when markets can reverse. And we saw that 2021 double top, but like we say, is this going to be the same? Is this going to play out like it is? Or do we just end up not really getting anywhere? We're in a recession. China's in one too. We're trying to just keep chucking money at their economy, don't they? Like trillions of dollars. It's like, yo, have some more. Like, let's just keep pumping it. Like, come on. Pretty wild. Stu's in the building. What's going on, buddy? He says, what's up, legends? This isn't just playing into the big boys' hands. Maybe. I just sold all my trades group this morning to buy spot. Interesting. I'm seeing an opportunity to accumulate spot. Personally, switch from low leverage. Liam, nice. I like your style. Like your style. Welcome in, by the way. We got like 70, nearly 80 people on TikTok, like 100 people on YouTube. Let's go, baby. Let's go. Like I said, a lot of it could play out. At the minute, though, like I said, it just feels different today. And that is something I don't like. So, again, like I said, I am relatively still well positioned in spot markets. I'm in a Bitcoin short from 101,600, which is fine. And, you know, we'll see kind of where this goes. Tomorrow is another day, but I feel like we could come down this line here. 96.7 is going to shake a few more people out. So, yeah, we'll see. Crypto Vern in the building. Crypto Vern, how did it go with your missus last night? Did she have a good birthday? Hopefully she did. Hopefully she did. We opened the government after 6 weeks, and you guys are selling. What the hell? Since the auto pen took all our money. I mean, that's also true. That is also true, isn't it? So, yeah. It is what it is, unfortunately. Unfortunately, but like I said, these markets have had crazier times. We've seen bigger capitulation events, and then all of a sudden you're like, oh, we're all back to the moon, and everyone, no one cares anymore. And you're like, oh, here we go, baby. Here we go. I'm scared. And yes, she was very happy, said. Nice. Nice. Apparently my fan club has completed its first stage of the club quest. Club cheers have been unlocked for all the fans. Let's get it, club fan people. You guys are ace. Keep pushing, everybody. Let's try and get into this next league, which is like here somewhere. I don't know what it is, but it sounds cool. Well, you've done it once. You've once the 3K only takes one. Bring you back up at the least the profit you lost. No, you might. Well, I mean, that's true. I got Sui long triggers at 115, 0.89 and 0.59. Let's hope. I mean, you would have got that on the 10th of October, wouldn't you? I mean, Sui went to like 50 cents. I mean, that's where I bought some of my Ondo, which was like 26 cents or something crazy. Having secret meetings with BlackRock and Michael Saylor. Maybe. The biggest bull market of all time. Beebs, let's hope so. Let's hope so. I mean, like I said, the markets can totally turn on their head. You know, we could see a 6% move tomorrow while everyone's like, oh, no, everything's fine, actually. God, I can't believe we all sold yesterday. I can't believe... Or you get, you know, institutions going, those silly, puny retail investors sold more of their cryptocurrency, especially that 2-bit guy. I mean, think about it. I actually have sold to try and pump the markets for you guys. I mean, that's generally what happens. I sell, markets go up. You know, that's kind of how it happens, but it looks like that's not the case at the minute. I'm holding everything. I can't lie. Hey, look. I'm still relatively exposed on the spot market. I just took some risk away. XRP, look, I'm pretty bullish on XRP. You know, I guess in the broader scheme of things, 4% is not crazy, but I way would have wanted. What the hell is that? Nice, Fern. I have no idea what that is. But it looked cool, by the way. Yeah, I mean, you would have wanted XRP ETFs to launch yesterday when the markets were way more like optimistic and bullish. That would have been good news. So, shout out to Vern, the welcome seal. Thank you so much, Vern. Appreciate it. Appreciate the gifts tonight, everybody. Thank you so much. They said 94K tonight, maybe tomorrow morning. Wow. I mean, the thing is that anyone can say anything. It's like, why? Why would it go? Why is it going to go to 94K? I mean, what even is 94K? It's not a lot, 94K. I mean, maybe you've got a bit of historical level there. I mean, I mean, 94 technically would hit the 382 Fibonacci. So I guess maybe. I mean, my line's just above it here, which would be a short-term one at about 96. So yeah, I mean, I guess so, potentially. I may be down on profit, but I'm still up on my entire original investment. So all in all, I think I can afford to hold on. Well, and again, that's sometimes that's the way to look at it, isn't it? That's the way to look at it. If you're not trading volume blocks, then what are you really doing? There you go. Sad day because I thought about selling all my SNEC twice. Not SNEC. Don't do it, Stardog. And I believe, Mike, you've got part of my portfolio in stablecoin. In stablecoin, yeah, I have actually, yeah. Well, it's not in stablecoin, it's in ETH, but it's still fine. You know, we're still fine in that. I just bought XRP, so of course it fell to price. You're welcome. I mean, that's why I've sold some. I was hoping I was going to pump the price for you guys. So yeah, I mean, look, like we said, sometimes you just got to try and be sensible. And sometimes you got to be bold in your decisions, live and die by the decisions you make. But this is the important bit, by the way. Don't go 100% in and don't go 100% out. That's the reality of it. So if the markets suddenly start to turn a little bit more optimistic, then you're like, okay, cool. I'm in a position that I can come back in. Equally, if the market dumps a little bit further, then I have some, some powder on the side to put in if I need to. So there's nothing wrong with playing an element of both sides. Lean towards the side you feel more comfortable with, which is if you're more bullish, then fine. Leave a bit more spot. If you're less bullish, then, don't. Fact is that we are still seeing the stablecoin market still feel pretty dominant, actually. Look at that, 3.98%. So you've got more stablecoins gains than Bitcoin dumps. Tells you that there's actually a little bit more going into the stablecoin market, maybe for a rotation back into overall crypto markets. Time, I guess, will tell. Time will tell. So, good. Good. OBO, thank you so much for the follow. Appreciate it. Hey, thanks everybody on TikTok. Appreciate you guys tuning in as always. Appreciate the gifters. Appreciate the followers. Like I said, we're here every night trying to bring you the latest and greatest in cryptocurrency and keeping you up to date. Have we finished the 589 waves down yet? I don't even know what they are. So I'm not going to try and pretend to do. Let's go. RecRabbit.com. Get ready, baby. Get ready. Albeit the last thing you want to do is launch into an absolutely dog shit market, to be honest. But hey. Equally, you don't want to launch into a bear market. Although Pepe was in a bear market. Maybe. Canary hasn't bought XRP for their ETF customers yet. Oh, do you think that's tomorrow? I thought they bought beforehand. They'll have seeded that ETF. Surely they buy before. Maybe not then. Maybe not. I think I saw BlackRock were buying today. Let's take a quick look at what was going on with this. Yeah, the spits were not be the best time. Yeah, possibly. Oh no, they dumped. Yeah, they dumped it. I feel like this actually opened as a positive, and then they've dumped through the day. But yeah, interesting. I'm sure it did. I mean, yesterday again another outflow, 278 million. So you look at that. Even the ETF capitulation is happening right now. Doesn't mean it's gonna doesn't mean it's gonna continue. Doesn't mean that it's going to all through the floor, but look at that. Q4 is now turning out to be a pretty bad Q4. Where have we seen bad Q4s? Bear markets. I'm not saying that this is a bear market, by the way, because technically 2025 should be a bull market. But yeah, Q4 looks bad. November's already negative 10%, which again is bad news. So, Dr. Oko says, you ready? I mean, I hope so. I mean, December historically isn't a good month for us either as well. So, I think if we don't end up with something through November, then yeah, it's probably going to be pretty bad news in December. I think it then flips on its head and goes, what happened? What happened? But I mean, at the same time, we are seeing a little bit of a green candle since we went live on the live stream. Obviously, you guys can thank me later on. Price of Bitcoin is actually going up. Well, buckle up, Buttercup. This is going to be a good ride. I mean, I think so as well. I mean, I'm down for it. And again, another reason why I want to just be sat in, I want to be sat in a little bit of stablecoin, which I don't think is a bad thing. The big beluga volume indicator has made me more money than any other indicator on trading view. Fair play. Did you see that Lucy Rigby in Singapore speaking with Monica Long from Ripple? Anything in that? Wasn't that from Ripple Swell? Or is that the Bitcoin thing? I'll have to have a look at it, Michael. I can't be bothered to mess around with the charts right now, but I'll have to have a look. Gallions banks will use XRP 20. Well, maybe. I mean, the whole Ripple Swell thing, we're pretty bullish. And as we've said, by the way, look at the volume that's gone into that XRP ETF. By the sounds of it, we could get some more tomorrow. It could be good news. Is it going to pump? Is it going to pump XRP more so than the rest of the market? I mean, it doesn't look like it, does it? Doesn't look like it. I mean, maybe you get some sort of insane buy. I mean, even like 50 million is probably not going to do the craziest numbers, is it? What year is Aruba 2-bit? It's been years in the making. Yeah. Well, it was meant to be it was meant to be next year, wasn't it? It was meant to be next year. We should have made insane gains this bull market. I mean, in fairness, I think most people have been with the channel for a while. Certainly in the bear market, yeah, you should be relatively up on your portfolio. our unrealized gains versus potential realized gains is where it stings a little bit because we've definitely had more on the table. But that's why we always say sell on the way up, and then you're not going to be too pissed with everything. It is interesting. Historically, the last 2 months are usually green. December is red, but could we see a complete reversal? December could be the best month this year, or at least green. Maybe. Well, yeah, it depends. I mean, if you think that 2026 is going to be the big bull market cycle, then maybe that's kind of how it works out. I mean, think about it. If the manufacturing cycle or the business cycle is a year later, then yeah, I mean, you could argue and say that next year might be the cycle. It's going to be super bullish. I mean, maybe. Who the hell knows, really? That's kind of where it all gets a bit crazy, doesn't it? But the duration of the business cycle has increased over time. For example, UK cycles went from averaging about 3 to 4 years in the 18th century to approximately 16 years between 1948 and 2009. The first identified cycle is roughly between 8 and 11 years. I was hoping it was going to tell us. Oh, here we go. Here we go. So recession between 1990 and 1991 was as an example of an economic downturn. I don't want to know that, though. I want to know how long a business cycle is. Business cycle update from Fidelity. Let's see what they say. So they say that expressing the data indicating blah, 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 we don't need to do that. Past performance not going to future results. We also know that. Oops, I did not mean to do that. So, I mean, there is a debate about business cycle, isn't there? Let me go and see if I can find this. If we print above the 50-week moving average on Sunday, then positive. If not, then we see 88. Well, I think 96 first and foremost. But yeah, I mean, if we don't get back above the 50-week moving average, I think you could see a pretty big sell because I think people will then just go, right, I'm dumping it. A lot could happen between now and then, though. Think about it. So, been seeing a lot of Charex about peak cycle and how the economy last cycle looked. So GMI composite against the central bank cutting rates with a 9-month lead time. Is that actually true? So business cycle, that doesn't tell me that. Oil deviant. I don't care about oil deviants. I care about business cycles. Never been a 4-year cycle. No, not interested in that. Okay, what's this? Credit cycle for 2021. So the ISM, right, here we go. The ISM, which is where they assume that we've talked about, wow, this is kind of where they get for the business cycle data, isn't it? So peak ISM was 2021. So I need a bigger chart than that. Bitcoin cycle, digital asset market caps, crypto users. Okay, that's not going to help me. BTC closed a weekly candle below 98 means trouble. Well, yeah, the 50-week moving average is what we've been looking at. So here we go. Right, previous business cycles, the GMI model. Okay, fine. So this is what we want to see. So previous business cycles. So we'll take the white line being the ISM data, right? So that's something we've talked about before on the channel. So we want to look at it for peaks. So 2021 bull market cycle top versus then a 19, so 2015, 2016, followed by 2017 mid-cycle, 8-19. So you got 2 years between that. Then you look at this one here, you probably got 2010, 2015, 2 years. So if you took the cycle top of the previous market, 19 to 21, then, I mean, in theory, yeah, you would expect to move up. Now, when you look at the global, the GMI model base, then this is where you argue that they've got an additional year, which then could push us furthermore into that additional year, which then puts you into 2026. Bits Players in the building. What's going on, Bits Players? Good to see you, man. Welcome in. Is it just a wick down below, then we're okay? Well, if it wicks below that. So if we can get back, let's say for example we get to like 101, 102 by Sunday night, you kind of go, okay, well that's fine then. The key metric for me, the 50-week moving average, if we go below it, then that's not good news. And we've gone below it with the stuff that I didn't like coming out of the Trump administration. I'm not gonna lie. Blitzbase says bullish times ahead with no data. Do we see quantitative in the cut? Well, that's the debate. So 2 separate Fed governors have said no, we shouldn't cut rates in December. Rates potential are plummeting now to 51%. That's the lowest it's been for this December rate cut, like forever, basically. So, yeah, so we'll have to kind of wait and see. Large liquidations are needed to push higher. Well, I mean, we've had them. We've had billions. Do you mean short liquidations? Because we've had billions and billions of dollars wrecked from long traders. So eventually, like we said before, they'll just get to a point and go, right, screw this market. This market is stupid. So yeah. Cycles have changed due to institutional money. Therefore, historical indicators and patterns could go out the window. Not saying they will. Yeah, agreed. Yeah, agreed. I don't think Trump's economy will fail. Not political. Yeah, I don't think it'll. No. I mean, how does an economy fail of a country like the US? Are you saying that you don't believe it's going to go into a recession? Is the 50-week at 103, 150? No, the 50-week moving average is about 100K, depending on where you look at it and what you have. So for me here on the weekly, if I show the 50-week simple moving average, it's like 109. That doesn't take any real new data in. For me, here we go. So here's the kind of interesting one. So the exponential moving average, which if you remember, we've talked about the exponential moving average, takes the kind of highs and the lows out of it and gives you a way better indicator. Mine sits here at around 100,300. Some people have said 98K. If you look at EMA ribbons, for example, it's lower than that. My view is 98,000, which is why we've got this line on here, was kind of where I've been talking about. So it's below the 50-week moving average for my charts based on the exponential moving average. I actually think there is like a 50-week moving average, but I feel like it's weird. Look, see. In hindsight, it'll probably be obvious, if not already, the bull market ended on 1010. I mean, you could argue potentially that was, maybe. What is this? Why is this here? Why is that there? Oops, I wanted to do that. Bull 0.7. What is this and where is this from? Anyone want to tell me? What? Why is this here? Anyone know? Does the stimulus help or even play out? I mean, maybe. Why would they do altcoin ETFs in a bear market? Think about it. I mean, that's true. Why would they? But then think about who is buying it. Retail are the people that will buy and sell. Institutions are going to be like, all right, we don't care. We're just going to sit on it forever. So, yeah. How bad do you think the unemployment rate is? Bad in the US. And again, the AI bubble is not helping. So as companies pivot on AI, we talked about it yesterday, which was potential job layoff expectations, not even like actual job layoffs. It was expectations, right? What? So yeah, I mean, I think it's kind of bad, if I'm honest. I think it's kind of bad. See you later, Mike. Good to see you, buddy. Hope you're keeping well. Which, I mean, in theory, though, the job cuts should be the stimulus for the Fed to cut, but the Fed won't cut without information. Jerome Powell literally said that last time. We won't cut rates if we can't see. He literally said it. So yeah, we'll have to kind of wait and see. But yeah, at the minute, it feels like with jobs data, it's just bad jobs after bad jobs after bad jobs, right? That's kind of where you've got to be really thinking about how does that change with AI booming and companies setting up for layoffs. I mean, like I said, we talked about yesterday, the biggest expectational layoff data is almost like so for example, this came out like a week ago, but yeah, layoffs for any October highs. So October had the second biggest layoff predictions, or like the fourth biggest layoff predictions since 2003. Like, what the hell? Like, bruh, bad news, like super bad news. And it's not getting worse. Like the jobs market in the US is getting worse. You got Verizon cutting 15,000 jobs, Amazon cutting 15,000 jobs. What are they all citing? They're all citing the fact that AI is the one that's taken over. Well, AI is also the narrative that's holding the stock market up. So it's got this catch-22. Profits are going to be driven out of companies getting rid of it. If you've worked in the corporate environment for a long time, every now and then companies restructure. And basically what they do is they get the people that paid the most out of the business, and then they basically get people paid less to do that job. It's not even about people. It's about making more profit or reducing costs. If you can grow sales outside of growing costs, then you're good news. If you can't, then you've got to cut it. And people just cut the workforce. So, yeah. So jobs market, I think, is not good in the US. Now, the debate, and this is probably why Trump's so hell-bent on trying to get rate cuts in, is because that would give a boost to it. Why do you think he's so adamant on tariffs? The difference is tariffs aren't really supporting business. They're actually hindering business, particularly when you look at like manufacturing, which is obviously where some of the bigger tariffs are hit. Then, yeah, you have this like opposing force, and like Trump's like arguing against himself. That's the problem. Like, whoa, we need rate cuts. All right, well, cool. But you can't have rate cuts. You can't have rate cuts because you give us no data to work with it. So, yeah, we'll see. Since 2023, we have seen a pattern of 6-month upward action followed by a retest of the 50-week moving average. This has occurred 3 times. Yeah, it has. 100%. Yeah, and this is what I was talking about last week, by the way. So this is why, for me, this indicator is important, because the only time we break the 50-week moving average on a close, the markets tend to shit the bed, unless we are coming off a bottom indicator. So, for example, the FTX collapse, which was here, we went bearish under the 50-week moving average here. And then, here, this is kind of where we broke it and we kind of continued down. So you go, yeah, well, okay, that's fine. I get that. The retest bounce we talked about here, the retest bounce here, the retest bounce here. Basically since the bottom here in January 2023, we've never broke below this line. Well, we broke below the line right now. Whether you talk about trend line, whether you talk about 50-week moving average. Again, this 50-week moving average, even when you go back to 2021, by the way, and you see it now, what you could argue for is say, well, this happened here. Look, this was the capitulation event off the blow off top. Then we capitulated, pretty much kind of what's happening right now, followed by, some volatility in the market. And I think when you see volatility, which probably, is aligning to kind of what we're seeing now a little bit, you see this kind of pattern playing out where you've got these massive wicks underneath as markets continue to push down, followed by then upside momentum. Is that what is playing out now? But understand, this was a time period here. So from that wick down to the bottom, that was a time period, by the way, of 56 days. Okay? 56 days. Then we rallied up to the actual all-time high for the 2021 bull market cycle. Okay. Well, if you said, well, where are we at right now? Then we're absolutely nowhere near it. Depending on how you look at it. Well, here's the break candle. So you could argue then, you say 56 weeks takes us to the 5th of January, which if you want, then probably sets you up to say, well, 2026, the most epic bull market cycle in the history of mankind. Maybe. Between now and then, though, you're going to see some more pain. If we were to assume that this isn't the double top blow off with exactly that capitulation down in the middle there. That's what you got to ask yourself. And that this second top peak here isn't just the same as what we got here, which was obviously the push down, which we've seen, and that consolidation, followed by then all hell breaking loose and sending us all down to the bottom. So, worth noting, I think, worth being mindful. And yeah, let's hope. I mean, what would someone asked me earlier, what would flip me bullish again? Break back above the 50-week moving average and then getting back above this trend line. I'd be like, all right, cool. But if you remember, I talked about $109,000 would be the point at which I say the bull market's back on, and all-time highs probably come the week or maybe 2 weeks after that. I just, at the moment, don't believe we pumped $10,000 in 3 days. I mean, maybe we do. Crazier things have happened. Tomorrow Trump signs a Clarity Act, which means that, exchanges can't manipulate and dump loads of cryptocurrency. Wintermute has to play ball. And maybe we get 5 more ETFs that come in and everyone suddenly goes, holy shit, we're super bullish on the markets. Maybe that happens. Not sure it will, though. Right now. See, it hasn't worked this whole bull market cycle. It depends which part of TA, because we called a couple of key points, actually. If you remember 2 weeks ago, I was talking about the loss of 108, takes us back down to like 100,000. That is pretty much exactly what happened. So I think some elements do work. I think you have to be mindful of liquidity's been the biggest thing, isn't there? What I thought was this is probably the best way to do it, isn't it? Is the crypto bull run 2025 over? Let's just ask an 8-ball. And then in my opinion, we can base our entire strategy on what it says. All right. I think this is probably a good idea. I think Gareth Jenkins, what thoughts on XRP? Yeah, pretty bullish. No bueno, XRP. What's going on? XRP's in the house. So I think this is probably a good idea. And I think we should base our entire strategy based on what this 8-ball says. 20,000 likes incoming. Let's get it. Let's get it. Apparently, we're in the top 80% of whatever league this is, by the way. So shout out to you guys for being super bullish. Right, shake the ball. Oh, what does it say? And, oh, no, everybody. It says it's certain. That's it. That's it. I'm going to come on the live tomorrow night and be like, guys, just to let you know, I'm 100% in stablecoin right now. Oh, dear me. Absolutely wow. This is the strategy guaranteed to make you millions. What's that? What is the strategy that's guaranteed to make you millions? Pete, try the mute button. Shut up, Palms. Best out of 3. Best out of 3. Let's do it. Let's do it. Shake again. Don't count. Oh, don't count on it. It's 1-1. It's 1-1. Blockchain Bullhorn. I think I've got about 25 of you following me right now. So this is it then. This is it. This is like, you know, spin for the win. Oh. Most likely. Shit. Right, it's over. It's over. Axe 21 says it's over. Let's be realistic. We're cooked. Gerard, maybe. Maybe. Like I said, like we've always said, it's not over till the fat lady sings. And, you know, I mean, could we rally today? Maybe. Could we push back up? Maybe. Like I said, though, you gotta be sensible. Emily Riley's in the building. What's going on, Emily Riley? Welcome in. Hope you're doing well. Good to see you. The 8-ball strategy. I mean, that's the way to do it, baby. 8-ball is working for the big money. Yeah. I've got $1 million and I'm doing whatever the 8-ball tells me to do. Right, I'm going bullish on this market. Holy shit, let's go in. You can do 500x leverage on MEXC now. So 500x leverage, let's send it. Full balls to the wall. I say this hour gets quicker and quicker. Well, that's it. That's because we actually try and pack it full of action-packed information. It's not just like some super like nonsense bullshit things. Yeah. Greetings. How's your crypto scammers? I mean, there's a lot about, mate. There is a lot about. Dale Russell, what's going on, buddy? You're the legend, my man. You're the legend. So I guess where do we go from here? What's the debate? Let's get a vote out there. Let's see what you guys think. Let's start a poll. Is the 2025 bull market over? Question mark. Yes, no, or it's delayed until 2026. Let's see what you guys think. Fairground says no. Let's stick a vote on here as well. Let's do it. We can do a vote on here. Let's do this one. So quick poll. Smiley face, yes. Smiley face, no. We're not cooked and the market's bullish. Sad face, the bull market's over. I can't do anything separate. Cash your votes, everyone on TikTok. Toss a coin. Right, we can toss a coin if you guys want. Snoopy says I got pumped by my what? Right, everyone's saying that the bull market is still on. TikTok are bullish. 38% believe we're delayed until next year. Let's flip a coin, everybody. The coin needs to be blue. It's indirect. Heads, the bull market's still on. Tails, the bear market's here. Oh, it's fine. Let's do it. BITUNIX, a great exchange, by the way. Check out the link in the description. BITUNIX, I'm going to put a 3,000x long on Bitcoin because the coin flip said so. I don't know if I can actually log in on here. Is it going to be like, oh, you need to click this or you need to click that? Let me see. If I don't have to log in, then I'll do it. Please try again. What the hell? There we go. I just sold everything from the black ball, bought everything again on the coin flip. Man, I can't get into that BITUNIX. That's super annoying. Oh, my phone's here for TikTok. I've been going down since last December. Yeah, it's been pretty painful. Toss a £20 note and see where it lands up. So it ends up 3 days until the weekly close. Agony. Well, let's see. I mean, Raoul Powell's pretty bullish on he thinks like 2026 is going to be the big market. In fact, he posted something earlier that I thought was kind of interesting, really. And he said, yeah, this was it. It was kind of an interesting statement. He said, so now the US government has reopened, what next? Expect a few days for the TGA, which is the thing we've been talking about, which is about $980 billion. Spending being significantly add to liquidity and should persist for the several months. Obviously, QT ends in December with the balance sheet with crawl higher. We'll still see the dollar begin to weaken, and the next key step is to avoid the year-end funding squeeze. Expect several temporary measures to add liquidity. Term funding and SRF operations are most likely, which is like short relief funding or something, I think it is. They will eventually morph into desperately needed changes to the SLR to allow banks to absorb more insurance and re-lever their balance sheets. This is a big liquidity bazooka expected in Q1. So Raoul Powell kind of aligns to the vast majority of you guys, actually, in fairness. Expect Clarity Act for crypto, which again could be good news. Stimulus payments, big beautiful bill, fiscal goosing. China will continue its balance sheet expansion. Europe will add fiscal stimulus or extra spending. The debts must be rolled, and the government wants to superheat the economy in the midterms. This is the liquidity flood. The spice must flow. And midterms is November, isn't it? So, yeah, we'll see. We will see. Flick the Tigers balls, see what happens. I mean, that's also a true statement in fairness. But yeah, I thought that was a pretty interesting thing. So maybe there is going to be a big boom of stimulus. Maybe there isn't, though, you know. Yeah, Holmes, I agree. Which, again, you've got to just take your sources from as many people as you can. For me right now, the big data is going to be, what do we get in sort of later on? When do we sort of get a little bit more potential data move, which is going to give us an indication as to where the market's going to go? Potentially we get PPI tomorrow. Yeah, potentially, unless they rug PPI, but they shouldn't rug it because that's producer price index. So again, that's built by private companies. The ADP employment could be an interesting one. That could turn negative. That could be bad news next week if we see that. We get manufacturing data as well. So the next potential jobs data is going to come Thursday, November 20th. So next week. So, I mean, maybe we get this data, maybe not. Fed balance sheet would be an interesting one, actually. 6.58 trillion expectations. And then we're into core PCE on Wednesday, the 26th of November. That could be an interesting one. When's the next CPI read then? Anyone? Exports. Man, I don't even know when the next CPI data is. Also, the TGA takes around 4 weeks to filter into the markets. Yeah, well, that's what Raoul Powell's saying, isn't it? That it's going to take a little bit of time for it to kind of flow out and sort of see where we get to. But I guess hopefully we get some sort of stimulus. Hopefully it's all going up again soon. Let's hope so. I mean, I'm down for it. I am down for it. Yeah, but they were saying lockdown is heading back. Crypto, maybe. Isn't that funny that the stimulus check is the exact same amount that was given out during... Yeah, well, exactly. I mean... The reality is that it's just like, it's a way of buying tariff good news, isn't it, to a degree? We talked about this yesterday. It's like, oh, here's a nice shiny check that's come from tariffs, baby. Like, doesn't matter that actually tariffs are now officially inflationary. Like, they're just like, here's $2,000. So, Tomato Pete, yes. I am so freaking tired of winning. It is un-effing believable. But, you know, like I said, maybe it all is going to play out. Maybe all the bears are just going to end up down in the woods and crying. And maybe, well, maybe not. We're all cooked. We're going to freaking zero. 10th of December, next CPI. Right. Okay, fine. Fine.
We're going to win so much, you may even get tired of winning.
You may even get tired of winning. And you'll say, please, please, it's too much winning. We can't take it anymore. Mr. President, it's too much. And I'll say, no, it isn't. We have to keep winning. We have to win more. We're going to win more. We're going to win. We're going
to. Mr. President, I'm so tired of winning. I don't want to win anymore. I mean, 99,000 on Bitcoin. Let's effing go, baby. Let's effing go. Quick, get back in. 500x average long. Buy everything back that you sold. The fucking coin flip told us to do it. Anyway, 40% of you now saying the bull market is over. Man, chat's bearish for the first time, I think, ever. There'll be stimulus, but only after everything has crashed. Why would they stimulate an all-time high? I mean, that's true. And why would they stimulate when the S&P and the NASDAQ are actually doing pretty well as well? So, lots to break down, lots to take in, lots of important things to keep your eye out over the course of the next 24 hours and potentially even into the weekend as well. As always, though, people, I will be covering it here on the channel. We'll be back tomorrow for 9 p.m. UK time, 4 p.m. Eastern. If you want to stay ahead of the markets, by the way, don't forget my free Discord link in the description or in my bio here on TikTok. You can get into that Discord. Good chats going in the general discussions. If you want to get access to trade alerts, brand new coins and everything else, then jump in, grab a channel membership by clicking that join button or grab a subscription here on TikTok. Highly worth it, in my opinion, about $8 a month. And yeah, good news. In fact, we actually called, I think, quite a bit of this move in, not so much like here we are, we're super bearish, but we did say support 104 and 100K, psychological and region swing lows, resistance on the 50-week moving average is what you need to kayak. And then I put here, we are watching this. If you're into altcoins, most likely BTC will be the first move on the move for the Senate. And then potentially when the week moves on altcoins, we'll get the next move. So again, yeah, keep a close eye on the ETF buyers and market open. So again, if you're interested in grabbing that, absolutely, Jay, you're right. Grab that channel membership and let me know. Get your ass in the Discord. Totally worth it. Until then, though, thank you so much for watching. I'm going to catch you guys tomorrow. You are a set of legends. And hopefully, just hopefully, it's a shakeout and nothing else. Tom Lee to the moon, baby. Snoopy, thank you so much for the donuts tonight. Appreciate it. We'll be back tomorrow night. Set your alarm clocks. It will be, as always, freaking epic. Take care, everybody.